Welcome. I am Keisha Zulo, founder of the Women in Business Summit, and it is my absolute pleasure to be having this amazing conversation this morning with Katherine Prewitt, who is CEO and president of Ascend to Excellence. Now, Katherine is an amazing woman. She has ascended to the executive positions within Fortune 500 companies, including president of Eversource Energy. Katherine has also earned a degree as a chemical engineer, and she has been an entrepreneur since she was 18 years old. So I'm excited for this conversation because she's a featured speaker at our executive roundtable at the 15th Annual Women in Business Summit. So Katherine, welcome.
Thank you, Keisha. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, wow. So tell me, why did you start Ascend to Excellence? And tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Ascend to Excellence has been a long-term plan of mine. I know as a woman in a male-dominated industry, which I've spent the last 2 decades in, to get the skills that you need, especially as a female, can be very challenging. And so I developed all those skills over time, and now I'd like to take the time to share them with other people. So Ascend to Excellence will give me the opportunity to do that, among other things.
That's awesome. And so, as I mentioned, you've ascended to the heights of what many people, many women have not been able to be around the C-suite area. And can you tell me just some of the characteristics that you have that you think has helped you throughout your career to just excel, to become an executive? And can you share maybe some of the roadblocks or challenges that you've experienced along the way?
Ooh, yeah, that is a very, very big question. We could spend hours talking about that, but I'll tell you that probably the top 3 qualities that I've developed, the top 3 skills, because it's all skills at the end of the day. I didn't have the skills that I have today when I started out in life when I was 18. We won't talk about how long ago that was, a long time ago. But there are skills that you have to develop. And I think that probably 3 of the biggest skills that you need to make it to the highest ranks are you have to have curiosity and a willingness to continue to improve. Because with the curiosity without the continuous improvement doesn't really take you and help you develop those skills. You also have to be willing to take risks and make mistakes.
Right.
And the mistakes are really the important part about it. You calculate your risk, but it is in taking the step and being comfortable and okay with the errors, because they will absolutely definitively happen. That's when you grow and learn the most. And then the last thing that I think is very, very helpful and useful, again, another skill, is to vehemently embrace feedback. Feedback is a gift. Yes. All gifts are not valuable. Some gifts are not, but there's still gifts, and there's information that you can glean from feedback. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, there's still value. And so seek it out, and seek it out with a vengeance. So those are 3 big qualities. I would say as a female in an executive role, probably one of the biggest challenges that I had was fitting in. And I put that in air quotes because it's important. Yeah. We as humans are naturally drawn to people that are like us. And when there aren't women in the higher levels to get drawn toward us, then we have to modify more than we might otherwise have to. And that can be very, very challenging, frustrating, discouraging, and all kinds of other things.
Man, you are right. We could, we have a few minutes in this conversation, so I'm excited for us to continue it more, because you're absolutely right. We could go on and on, because there's so many awesome things that you just said that I'd love to dive into. But we'll do that another time. Right now, I just want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about your entrepreneurial journey, because that's really interesting. You've been an entrepreneur since you were 18, and always throughout your career, ascending through the ranks of the corporate world, you still had your entrepreneurial ventures going on. So can you talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you? how you adjusted when you needed to, and how are you adjusting now during this climate of, with a global pandemic going on?
Yeah, so I tell you, the entrepreneur in me helped me. I know it helped me succeed as an executive, but having other outlets to express that entrepreneurship, which I always have, also helped me to succeed in that other realm, because there's a limit about how much creativity you can extend in a corporation that may or may not satisfy your ultimate needs, which is the situation that I've always been in. So I really want to go and build and grow, and to be able to satisfy that to a high enough degree for myself. I've always had stuff that I've done on the side. But I also know that creativity and that growth have allowed me to also excel and help the companies that I work for do even better too. Because every company that's not growing is dying. And so, it has helped in both ways. The challenge with entrepreneurs, at least this one, is we like a lot of variety, and we like to have our fingers touching lots of different things. It's a lot of shiny objects. I love shiny objects. And sometimes those shiny objects can be very distracting. And so I've had to develop some skills and qualities for myself that would allow me to stay on track. Focus on, first you got to create that goal, then figure out what your challenges are, the risks and rewards, then create a plan, and then you got to work the plan. I mean, you got to take whatever ideas you have to completion at some point. This pandemic has made that process, which works very, very well, very challenging, because with any situation, there are always distractions. And so you have to figure out a way to determine what's a distraction and what's an opportunity, what's a roadblock, what's going to derail you, because no good plan ever goes exactly like you said it. And so for me right now, because of where I am personally in my life, this pandemic is creating some unique opportunities that I would not otherwise been able to participate in. And so my very well laid plans, have been, they've morphed and changed over time. So.
And how much of that do you attribute to your mindset? Because I know that you have an incredible sense of bounce back ability, that you easily adjust to recognize an opportunity and don't spend time worrying about the what ifs. You are very strategic in just planning and moving forward. So can you tell me how much of that mindset has influenced the decisions you make?
So probably I learned some time ago. I've always been a super high level thinker. That's very natural for me, but it's problematic. All those strengths have weaknesses, so sometimes you got to come down out of the clouds and get to getting something done. And so I've learned over time that I can't stay in the clouds. So I've developed some skills that will pull me down. And then what I try to do very, very deliberately, I'm not a worrier. I don't worry. I just don't do it. It's a waste of time and energy. If I catch myself worrying, then I step back, I take a step back, and I ask myself what's causing that, and so I can move forward. The hard part when you're a pie in the sky kind of thinker like me is making sure that you recognize and understand what's a squirrel, what's the shiny object over here that doesn't need to be followed versus one that does. And so when you get on that path of going forward, it can be a little frustrating to try to figure out, okay, is that a shiny object, or do I really need to follow that path? And really all you can do is assess it. And you're going to get it wrong sometimes, and just check and adjust. I mean, that's really the most that you can do. But there are a set of skills that we each have we each have unique skills, and we uniquely need to figure out what our requirements are to fulfill whatever our limitations or our strengths are.
I agree. Thanks for sharing that. And then so self-care has been a really hot topic and trending topic. Everyone's, especially because most of us are working from home, and home has now become the place that you work, the place that some of us are, you know, educating our children, the place where you relax. It's everything in one. So how do you manage, and I would like for you to also think about coming up through your career and managing all these multiple roles as mom, as executive, as entrepreneur. How did you manage your self-care?
So if I were going to boil it down to one thing, it is absolutely that every one of us, especially when you like juggling lots of things, and I do like it, but what we all absolutely have to do is be aware. We have to be aware within ourselves of when we're over whatevering. Now, I was fortunate that I was a single mom going through college, and I had to figure that out. I had to figure out that if I wasn't taking care of myself, then I couldn't take care of anyone else. Because if I'm all stressed out and I'm not feeling good and in the right place, then the care that I'm providing to others is not the kind of care that I want to provide. And so I really had to work hard to let myself off the hook, because we put, as women in particular, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be the best and to never fail and to always be perfect and, you know, all the things that we always do.
Right.
And so the very first thing I had to do was give myself permission to take time for myself and be okay doing all those other things. Because quite frankly, at the end of the day, then I could do even more of it.
Right.
So
great point.
So it's figuring out, you know, and you can't listen to other people tell you what you need. People tell me all the time I need to exercise. It'll make me feel better. You know what? It doesn't. It doesn't make me feel better. That's somebody else's something. That's not my something.
Right.
And that's okay. It's absolutely okay that exercise doesn't make me feel something. There are other things that I need to do for myself. And so discovering what those things are is what each of us has to do, is really figure out what is that thing that's going to rejuvenate me and make me feel better, or make me step away, or whatever it is that I need to make sure I'm taking care of myself so I can take care of others.
I love that you said that, you know, because you do hear all these great advice, but you have to know yourself and know what makes you tick to be able to know if that's going to be right for you. I love that you said that. So our conversation is coming to a close, but before we head off and do whatever it is that we have planned for the day, I'd love for you to share with our community watching, what are your future projects? What are you excited about? And then lastly, just anything else that we haven't talked about that you think you'd want to share with female leaders watching this this conversation.
So let me share that first to all female leaders. Stay with it, be tenacious, take the break when you need to, but get back to doing it. You absolutely can. Hell, I did, and I'm nobody special. Maybe I have some skills now that I didn't have 30 years ago, but 30 years ago, I was not the person I am today. So stick with it. Just stick with it. Projects I'm working on, Ascend to Excellence is one of them. I'm trying to buy a company. I'm trying to actually be a full-time entrepreneur instead of a part-time entrepreneur. So I'm working on that. Probably the project that I've had on my mind that I'm the most excited about, and I'm finally getting some traction on, is, and I haven't started it yet, it's out there, so watch ascendexcellence.com. That's where my webpage is. I'll eventually have it linked up there. But I'm doing a podcast, and the podcast is going to be called Inclusion Without Exclusion. And it's a long story, but I put myself on a journey to learn about other people and cultures. And I want that podcast to create a platform for others to be able to do the same thing. So that's coming. I have this big, beautiful mansion in Springfield, Massachusetts called Valentine Mansion. Go look at the webpage. It's fantastic. It's a piece of history. I want everyone to enjoy it. If you want to come see it, hit me up. Phone number's on the webpage. I'd love to give tours. It's a great place. You know, and then who knows what other bright, shiny object will come my way. I won't be able to resist.
Oh
And of
man.
course, Wib. I'm so excited about Wib.
Yes, we are going to have an amazing conversation. The lineup this year is outstanding, and I'm so glad that you're part of it, Katherine. It's been incredible to get to know you. And yeah, I mean, we have some really great conversations that I so appreciate. And so we're going to post the link to Valentine Mansion to Ascend, and also to her LinkedIn. So if our community wants to connect, that will be after we're done here talking. I will come back in on our page and post that information. So thank you so much again, Katherine, for this conversation. And I cannot wait for all that you'll share, in a few months. All right, take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Anything else that you want to share before, or where else people can connect with you?
You got it. I think you got it. Thanks so much, everybody.